last week, you sort of said that you've only been able to train once in a week. Has it been nice this week just to be able to get back on the training ground, spend some time together?
Yeah, definitely. I think over the last 3 weeks, we've trained probably just a short captain's run every week. So it feels like we haven't had a chance to coach them, to be honest with you. But we've gotten by apart from last week, and we also said that it was the first time, I think, that we've gone back-to-back weeks where we've had the same squad. So obviously a few out this week and back, 1 or 2 steps, but gives the other players an opportunity to come in and perform. So I'm looking forward to it. We haven't been here for 6 weeks, albeit against our neighbours and premiers from last year, but I think it's a sold-out house we're hearing here that not a spare seat in the stadium, which is amazing and exactly what we want as a club and something that we've dreamed about really, coming back up in the Super League a couple of years ago, and to know that we're home against Wigan here and you can't get a ticket from yesterday through until kick-offs, an incredible achievement by Derek and the club and everyone involved.
Just on those injuries, do you have any update on those that were sustained on Friday, Edinburgh?
Yeah, look, there's a couple of serious ones there with Robbie Mulhern's going to be out for 6 weeks plus with a pec tear, which isn't ideal for us. He's obviously one of our leaders and I think one of the best front rowers in the competition. So that's going to hurt us a little bit, but we'll power on. The other one is Darnell McIntosh for at least 4 weeks with an MCL tear, and then obviously we're waiting on scans from Davian Armstrong. So we'll probably get them today at some point. So we'll wait and see on that one.
It's a little bit frustrating that you've just had a decent run of games where you've had your full team almost, and then in the blink of an eye you suffer pretty serious injuries.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be falling for us at the moment, as in rows. But what I've found this year is that I've got a really tough, resilient group, and players that have come in have done a really good job for us. And I think that's the difference between this year and the other years, is that the players that have stepped in are as good as the ones that have not been picked. So I'm grateful that a lot of new faces have certainly stepped up and given themselves a name by these opportunities. But we're through a really difficult period as well, and we've got to find some cohesion there, and it needs to start tomorrow night immediately.
Yeah, and just on Wigan, I know sort of Wigan fans will always say that St Helens is the derby for them. Where do you think that this ranks? Because over the last few years, it's sort of grown and grown and grown, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And our crowds at the Wigan home game in the first match of the season was, I think, might have been a biggest crowd in round 1 in Super League as well. So it's starting to show that potentially that this could be the battle of the borough as opposed to Saints. Saints will always be that match against Wigan where there's a lot of hatred. I mean, I was fortunate enough to play and coach at Wigan there, so I don't think that'll change too much. I know how passionate that is there, but I feel what we've created here at Leigh and what we can create with both clubs within the same borough, we've got a great relationship with them. We're working together on all sorts of things. Today we did a jersey presentation with the Wigan and Leigh Hospice, and hospitals are involved, and all these charities that are involved. There's some good stuff going around with Wigan at the moment and the borough. I think it's a real buzzing place to be. They're the minor premiers from last year, and to have a Friday night sellout here, we're really excited about it, and that's exactly where we want to be in rugby league and the UK and Super League as we move forward.
What have you made of Wigan over the last few weeks? It seems as though they've not really been firing on all cylinders, even though they have managed to pick up points here and there. Well,
they're sitting in second spot. They haven't lost too many games. This is what they do. Over a long period of time, they find a part of the season there where they not playing their best rugby, but they find a way to win, and that's what the championship clubs do. When you look right across their playing roster, they've got players everywhere that's talented. So nothing will change here tomorrow night. This game will go down to the last 10 minutes, and hopefully we're on the other end of what we were last week when we're in front. So, but we know it's going to be a really difficult challenge. We've got our own challenges with I thought against Leeds we were pretty good with the ball. We didn't defend well, but with that, there was a lot of positional changes. We couldn't find a rhythm or groove within everyone. There's more changes this week. We've just got to find a way to rise collectively as a group and get the 2 points.
Just in terms of the league table, I know there's a long way to go, but do you feel as though it's maybe a must-win game if you are to give yourselves a chance of breaking into that top two?
Yeah, in that regards, it is. Yeah, I try to play every week as it comes, in the sense of performance-wise, and we're looking for a response from last week as well. But when you look at the ladder, and it's something in the back of my mind always, the way that we plan, this is potentially a big game if, as a club, we want to climb that ladder and finish in a higher spot than we've ever finished before. This is a massive week for us. But I'll probably say the same thing next week, and the week after, and the week after that. So, the next month, 5-6 weeks of rugby for everyone. I think the top 6 teams play each other just about every week. So I think the next month of rugby you'll see the table change 2 or 3 times. But pretty excited about what's ahead. There's only 11 games left. 8 of those we have at home, so that's a bonus. But we've got to win those at home. We've had 6 weeks away from home, as I said, as in weeks. I think it's 4 games. So we're excited to be home. It's a new field. Hopefully the weather holds out, and there'll be there's massive entertainment here as always by Derek. And then we've just got to make sure the fireworks are on the field, better on the field than they are off the field.
And finally, just you mentioned the sellout and the derby and the buzz around the town. In sort of your time in the sport, have you ever experienced anything like what's happened at Leigh, the development both on and off the field? Because it's come a long way in a very short space of time.
Yeah, it's been an amazing part to be involved. Myself, just coming here when we got relegated, and 3,000 or 4,000 fans at that championship year was really tough to do and see. In the way that we've built the performance side of things on the field has been an incredible journey, and plenty of lessons along the way for me as well. But also, the changing of the name to the Leigh Leopards from the Centurions, the growth of the merchandise and the leopard print, and the fans turning up, the memberships, and everything that's been done off the field has more or less matched what we've done on the field. So, but we're in 4th spot. We were 3rd spot last week. It's not somewhere that we want to be comfortable with. We want to keep rising up that ladder as a club. The performance sides off the field are, as we said, a sellout crowd. But I think this is like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and the home matches you'll see that they're going to be sold out. So that's something that this club's never ever done before. So we're very grateful for our fans, and every single person that's a part of Leigh is going through a good time. So we've still got so much to achieve on the field, and that's what we're striving to do. But it's certainly a great club to be a part of at the moment. I still think there's 2 or 3 levels to go with the recruitment, with the retention, with the junior development, with our scholarship programs, with the women's, the wheelchair, and it goes on and on. So we're all playing a part there, and like I said, it's a great to be involved with a club that's growing, maybe more than any other club in Super League. Really, when you look at right down through the scholarships, which we've never had before. We've got every team now playing in every competition, so everyone's doing a pretty good job.
Cheers, Lammy. All the best tomorrow night.
Hi, Lammy. It's Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
Well.
Very good, mate.
Just on Davy Armstrong, I know you're waiting for the scans. What are the chances of him featuring tomorrow? I mean, I'm assuming he's not trained much this week. Is he likely not to play at this moment in time?
I've got a feeling that it's not good news. So if that's the case, it's not ideal for the team. But he's been nominated as one of the players of the month as we speak, and he's such an influential part of the growth of us on this journey this year with so many new faces in. But he's played just about every week injured, to be honest with you, and that's not ideal, and it's just a bit of bad luck. But if this is a serious injury and we get the results that don't look good, it won't be ideal for him, but it may be an opportunity for him to work hard on his game, and for us, we'll just move on and power on. Players like Gaz O'Brien, who played at fullback last week when he went off, and Ben McNamara that came into that, they did it seamlessly. There's also Bailey Hodgson who'll come into consideration, whether we start him on the bench or play him at fullback as well if Davey's no good. But yeah, signs is it isn't good, and it could be long term. And if that's the case, then we'll deal with that as we see.
If he's been playing injured every week, I mean, it's a credit to him, isn't it? Is there a point though where whether this one is serious or not, you probably do have to draw a line and just get him fit and make sure he's right.
Yeah, I mean that's the thought process now moving forward. It's just incredible how the mental toughness that he's had to play through these injuries. I mean, from round one when we played Wigan, he was not quite fit, So he's managed to get through all of these small minor issues, and he's a tough kid and a tough player. And I think he's only scratching the surface of Super League 2 and how good he's going to be. But we'll wait and see today, and we'll deal with the results once we know what they are.
As you say, you've got some options for Davey. You've probably got some options for Darnell as well. AJ House is in there. Does Josh come back into the fray, or is it still not quite the right time?
No, I think I'm happy to put Josh back straight in there. He's certainly a big game player. He's got experience. He's up there with the try scorers. We need people to score tries at the moment. So Josh will get back in there and start on that left wing. Having said that, AJ is very, very close. AJ Towers, he's done some amazing things for us at training in pre-season. He's edging. He's very, very close. So again, we'll make that decision today, and moving forward, I think I'm looking forward to seeing those two battle for that shirt.
Does that put the prospect of Josh going out on loan on ice for now, then, I assume?
Yeah, that was, it was always a question mark over that anyway, mate, to be honest with you. I knew he was always going to play a part, and the only thing that was brought up was that to keep his game time and load up was to consider putting him out on loan. That's the only reason why. There was no other purpose, but I knew that he'd come into play pretty soon, and that's come sooner rather than later. So excited for him, and obviously with we need him scoring tries. He needs to score tries to beat that record, and we need him scoring tries. So fingers crossed he gets a couple tomorrow night.
And I know, as you say, the second in the league at the minute, but compared to the last maybe 18, 24 months, is there a little bit more of a vulnerability about Wigan? I mean, obviously there's no Bevan, is there? They have struggled a little bit in the last couple of weeks. Do you see some chinks in their armour? No,
I'm not going to go down that path. They're at their best when they're on their backs, against the wall on the canvas. So they're not on the canvas. Don't get me wrong. They've been really resilient in the last couple of games, and it's this spirit and character that's got them through when they shouldn't have won it. Against Huddersfield, they shouldn't have won against Cass. So this is a local derby as well. We started the interview with saying about Saints and Wigan being the biggest rivalry in Lancashire, at least, or in Super League, or wherever you want to say. But I think this one's as big for both clubs as the Saints one. Don't worry about that. So it's going to be pretty physical tomorrow night. Like I said, it's going to be such a great atmosphere and such a good representation of Super League. If you're watching from overseas or anywhere, just the entertainment, the sold-out stadium, the singing, the hate-love relationship within the same borough. It's as good as it gets in sport anywhere in the world.
Just lastly from me, I know sort of your average person would think, well, there's a lot being made of playing away from home for 6 weeks. Does it really matter? But just to take that travelling out of it, to be on your home patch, how big a difference can that make for you, especially, as you say, with 8 home games in the last 11?
Yeah, I think what is important is this week we've got a 7-day turnaround, so we get a chance to actually coach and train and get through some review and some learnings and improvement, understanding, sponging in all the information. We've gotten that back into that routine again, which helps. So, but on top of that, we don't have to jump on a bus and travel 3 hours, 2 hours, 10 hours to get to an opposition ground. We can camp in here, and you're right. If we don't get the performance right here, it doesn't matter either way. But we won 3 of the 4 away games in the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So it's we needed to do that in a really difficult time. So I'm proud of the boys for doing that. But we've got a lot of work still to do, and there's probably still 2 or 3 years left in the team to improve. We've got some boys out, but I think the players that are coming in are as good, if not better, and we'll see how we can make sure that works.
Just looking at the last game, before we look at this game, 48 points conceded. I mean, was that...
Why did you have to bring that up, mate? What is it today? It's Thursday.
Was it mainly your side's bad defence or Leeds' brilliant attacking play?
Oh, it was a little bit of both.
A combination of both.
I think it was a little bit of both. I think there was a hangover from the week before with all the travel and everything involved there. There's a lot of positional changes during the match, which didn't help players playing out of position. I think we've looked closely at that. There's been a fair bit of honesty about that, and I'm hoping that doesn't repeat. So, I think the issues that I've saw and the staff saw, we feel that we can fix. So hopefully that's all sorted this week.
Absolutely, and the great thing is you won't be playing against Bevan French. So that is obviously unwelcome news for Wigan, but probably not unwelcome as far as you're concerned.
No, we know how great Bevan is, and what he's done in Super League, and especially for Wigan. But I think there's a couple others there that Faramond will be coming home to one of his local junior clubs, and he'll want to play well. They've got players there that can turn a game on its head very, very quickly if you allow them to. And if we turn up with that same mentality in defence this week, the same result will happen. So, I'm looking forward to things being slightly different there, and off the back of that, then we can come and make sure that we play well.
The interesting thing about Wigan, of course, is they may not be playing well, but they can still score deadly tries in the last 2 minutes of the game, which they've done in each of the last 3 games.
Yeah.
They nearly beat Wakefield, but not quite. But did beat Huddersfield and Castleford with late scores. So the one lesson is your guys are going to have to play for the 80. There's no doubt about it. If you're going into the last 2 minutes only 6 points up, crikey, you've got to.
Yeah, no, we're aware of that. We've previewed that, but also we're looking for an 80-minute performance ourselves. We've been really, really good in games for 60 minutes, 65 minutes. Then there's been a spell for 15 minutes where we've let ourselves down, and again, if we do that tomorrow night, well, then the same result we'll get. So, we're working hard on our own game. As important as is to preview Wigan and make sure we've got all bases covered. It's just as important to make sure that we're growing and learning and improving as a team ourselves.
And you've just got 2 guys in the England squad. I mean, obviously, any comment about the 2, and any thoughts about any others who might have got in but didn't quite make it from your club?
Yeah, I think Robbie Mulhern and Owen Trout are well deserved with the call up both into that squad. I'm really, really happy for them as a club. I'm not sure if in the past if we've had representation here at Leigh or 2 in the same squad. Still a long way to go for both of them, but Owen and Robbie have been definitely 2 of our better players during the season. It's been an incredible journey for Owen, moving him to the front row and helping him develop. I'm really proud of him. I know he's proud. We talk all the time about just the development that he's been through, but there's still a long way to go. But hopefully both of those can play a part in an England team, Great Britain or England at the end of the year. England?
England, yeah.
Yeah, England. Hopefully both of those can play a big part of that in October, November.
And Sean Wayne said some very nice things about Owen on Tuesday when we went over to see him at the hotel at Worsley. So I think he's, really admires Owen as a very upright young kid.
Yeah.
So that's great. Isn't it?
I agree. I think he's that physical thing of presence about him that he has, Owen, and there's certain things that he's doing in the game that I think are better than anyone's in the game at the moment, and I'm trying to get the other players to do similar things in certain actions. So, like I said, I think the family of Owens are really happy. I know the rest of his teammates love him and appreciate how hard he's worked to get there, and he's an inspiration for other players, to be honest with you. The way that he's come through off the back of a knee reconstruction, coming from back row or into the front row and playing. I think his arrival here at Leigh has certainly helped his growth into that position, and hopefully we've played a part in making him the player that he is. So still a long way to go for him. He knows that. He's going to be back in that front row position tomorrow night again against our arch rivals. So pretty exciting.
You mentioned also another youngster, AJ Towers. You probably won't select him against Wigan. If you were playing one of the lower clubs who are not in the top 6, would you be more tempted to give him a run out in those circumstances?
I would be tempted. The systems that we have here certainly give Josh that opportunity again to get his position back. But I will say this: I think AJ Towers has got a big future here for us. It won't be long before he's in that starting 17 at some point, and hopefully long term. So he's an athlete. He was our best pre-season trainer by a country mile in all areas. So that sort of shows you what we think of him, and he's just got to bide his time. Keenan Brand did the same thing. He had to wait his turn. He's got in. He's Yamila Hanley. We've got those players that we're going to back, and they're all young as well. AJ's young as well, so he's got a big future ahead of him. So he's just got to keep his feet grounded and make sure he keeps working hard, and then those opportunities will come. And we've had clear and precise conversations over that, so he understands his position.
That's great, mate. Good luck on Friday night. I'll very much look forward to that game, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Hi, Adrian. Just the one from me. I just
well-
want to ask about Aaron Pede.
Yep.
If that's all right, and if whether there's an update on his injury there.
Yeah, well, Aaron is just starting to get moving this week. He's had a bulging disc lower in his back, which has caused nerve damage and pain, and it's been quite horrible for him, really, to be honest with you. And we've missed him, but it is what it is. He's part of the injured list, but the positive news about Aaron is that he's up and moving this week. So it's probably a time frame around 4 to 6 weeks now where he'll get back to the load that we need to get back into it. The pain is slowing, so that's helpful, and there's some positive signs ahead for him. So we're working hard with him in that area.
Okay, cheers for that.
Thanks, Will.
Sorry, just one final on how Adrian hope you well.
Hey, Josh.
You mentioned you mentioned Farriman, obviously no Bevan French, but he poses his own threat, doesn't he? We saw that he scored in the last second against Huddersfield. He claimed the penalty, levelled the scores against Castleford. He certainly has a bright future in the game, isn't he? And I imagine one of the big threats that you'll be looking at this week. Yeah,
he's like I said, he's a local junior. He probably should be playing at this club and not there. But having said that, I think he's a handful. He's only a young player, and he's learning his trade there, and he does some really inspirational things for him. He's got that X factor about him, which is a nice thing to have for him. He's also got a decent kicking game when he's allowed to do that, and he can be a threat at all times. So we respect him and what he can bring to that team, and we'll make sure that we keep him as quiet as we can.
You mentioned it there, and obviously being a Wigan player, but he's a prime example of what can come out in the Leigh area and the systems and the youth clubs there, and exactly what you want to get into.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one that one day we'll never let go of players like that. I think Brad O'Neill as well is a Leigh genius. So, but they've had no pathway for them, and the best pathway is to go through the Wigan junior system or one of the other local clubs here in Saints and Warrington. So. In the future, we're hoping to make sure that we manage that process. It's part of the growth of this club, and where we look forward to making sure that our junior players based here play for us. And we'll be doing everything possible in the next 5 years to get any other Leigh player out there back into the system. So we're going to be aggressive with that, and we'll do what it takes. But that's part of this club moving forward.